Welcome, Alexandra Boylan, to the show. I'm really excited to have you here because I know you are an actor. I mean, you are still an actor, but you started out acting and then you moved into producing and you've really built your own career. And you actually have a book out, Building Your Career in Hollywood. And by the way, everybody, that if you have Kindle Unlimited, that's free. So if you're in that program, you can get the book for free on Amazon. So check that out, free resource for you. But I just wanted to talk to you about like how things went for you when you started out and how you managed to find your niche and your authentic voice in the world of this crazy industry we're in.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Great question. I love it. Thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, the book is called Create Your Own Career in Hollywood. And I actually wrote it because I would get so many people would be like, can I take you to coffee? Can I pick your brain? How did you do this? How did you make movies and then sell them? And I was like, okay, I think I need to write a book so that because I just physically did not have enough time to go to coffee with everybody, even though I always want to help people. So, but yeah, so I moved to Los Angeles in 1999 when I was 19 years old. I'm 43. And I just really wanted to pursue acting. And back in 99, you had to be really young. Well, I think you still feel like you have to be young as an actor, but I packed up my Toyota Corolla all by myself and I moved to Los Angeles. I only did 1 year of college per my parents' request in Boston. I am from Massachusetts. And I moved out here and I just started pounding the pavement and found out really how hard it is to move to LA and not know anybody and how to get connected. And this is back before I had like my first phone at that time. You know what I mean? Like we were using Backstage West, where you go every Wednesday to the newsstand and pick it up, and then you put your headshots in envelopes. And it was like we didn't even have online stuff. So I look back being like, man, that was a tough time because it was really hard to figure out how to even like make it or get agents or meet people. But I spent like literally 10 years just pounding the pavement out here, doing the typical waiting tables by night and auditioning or trying to audition by day. And in 2009, when I had hit my 10 years in LA, I realized I had nothing to show for my life. I was waiting tables. I was miserable. I couldn't get an agent. I couldn't get work. I had done some small indie stuff, but I was just like, oh my gosh, if I don't change my life, I'm going to be doing the same thing, expecting different results in 10 years, 20 years. So in 2009, I heard like the film industry was booming in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out of LA and try something new. So I literally packed up my same Toyota Corolla and I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I started really quickly tapping into the film industry in New Mexico, smaller market. I got stand-in jobs. I was Megan Fox's stand-in on a movie. I was Kat Dennings stand-in on the first Thor. So I was like starting to get connected. And I also, when I moved to New Mexico, I decided I would be a PA. I'll be a stand-in. I'll do anything to get on set. Where I think in LA, my mentality was just like, you're just an actor. You just have to be an actor. And then I sort of opened up my sphere of thinking of like, well, I could do other things in the film industry. And then I kind of decided, well, it's time to choose myself and stop waiting for someone to choose me. And I got a group of indie filmmakers together in New Mexico. We started making shorts and web series. And I was like, maybe if I start making my own work, I can give myself the lead. And I made my first feature. Literally 5 of us went out to a middle of nowhere house in New Mexico, in the middle of nowhere. And we made this movie called Home Sweet Home, a thriller about a girl who returns to her childhood abandoned house and there's squatters living there and they don't want to leave. And the villain is a woman and the victim's a woman. It's a really fun film that we just kind of shot to prove we could make a feature, prove it to get investment. And I ended up moving back to Los Angeles with that movie, and I got a sales agent, and that sales agent picked it up and brought it to American Film Market. And based off the poster by Dog and Pony, we sold it literally almost just based off the poster to RLJ Releasing. It was on the shelves of Walmart and in video stores. This was back in like 2011. And that really jump-started my career. And I thought I was going to do horror movies. And I wrote a horror movie about a girl who works overnight shifts in a haunted nursing home. And I brought that to my sales agent and I was like, do you think we could package this with Home Sweet Home and sell it? And he was like, no, don't do that. Don't do another horror. It'll be next year in the marketplace, will be oversaturated. We won't be able to sell it for very much. He goes, you know what you should be making is faith-based family movies. And I was like, what? And it was not the trajectory I was on at all, obviously. But I am a minister's kid, and I did grow up in the faith world. And I looked at the landscape of faith-based films, and I was like, oh my gosh, no women are being represented. And I was like, well, I'll do this. He was like, I'll get you the money if you make the movie. I was like, dream for an indie filmmaker. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And he said, you have to have football. And I said, well, no, okay, I'll do football, but it has to star a woman. And he was like, oh, you can't do that because there's no numbers in the marketplace to back up a female-driven faith-based film. And I was like, that's because no one's doing it. Let's do it and prove that there's a huge audience not being talked to. And so he was like, you can do it. And he goes, I'll give you $75,000 to make the movie. I gave up my apartment in Los Angeles, put everything I owned in storage. I moved in with my sister in Wisconsin and literally lived out of a suitcase for 1 year to make our first film, Catching Faith. And that film was sold to RLJ Releasing and went on to become their top 5 consistent selling film. And I was like, oh, I think we're on to something, making movies for women so they can see themselves in the lead role and about them. And it sold all over the world. We went to Cuba on a movie tour. And that really jump-started my brand. And then I was like, well, this is where I belong. I belong telling women's stories, family friendly. I really hate the word faith-based because most people cringe. It's like cheesy. So I like to say we're family friendly with some faith infused. And now I just finished my 6th female driven family friendly film.